Sung Jin-woo, the man who strikes fear into the heart of monsters and even the most powerful beings in the solo leveling universe. But who is he really? How did someone who was once an E-rank hunter become one of the most powerful figures to ever exist? And today I'll be talking about just how strong Sung Jin-woo truly is. And trust me, you will want to stick around because he becomes an absolute beast. And with further ado, let's get into the video.
Arise.
Let's start off with Jin-woo's physical strength because it's nothing short of extraordinary. When we first meet him, Jin-woo is nothing from what we would expect out of an MC. In fact, he's one of the weakest hunters in existence. At the start of his story, he's an E-rank hunter, and that's as low as you can be in this world. He's so weak and frail he can barely hold his own against low-tier monsters, let alone the high-rank creatures lurking in the dungeons. The guy can't even defeat low-level monsters without taking significant damage, like we had seen when he was fighting goblins in the first dungeon. But things start to change drastically once he's chosen by the mysterious system. The moment he gets his hands on the system's power, his growth begins to accelerate. The system allows him to level up, gaining strength, speed, and abilities at an exponential rate. As he levels up, so does his strength. By the time he clears his first B-rank dungeon, he's already stronger than most S-rank hunters. And let's not forget, his physical abilities are not just limited to brute force. He can wield weapons, fight with enhanced agility, and even overpower beings much larger than him. We can see these fights through the battle against the Ant King who had knocked out Cha-hien in a single blow. And killed Gojo Ryuji in just 2 hits, slaughtered 6 Japanese S-rank hunters with 1 attack each, and Jin-woo himself was able to go blow for blow against them. In fact, at his peak, Sung Jin-woo is one of the strongest beings in the entire world, capable of facing off against massive monsters and even other powerful hunters. He can lift enormous objects like boulders or entire structures with little to no effort, which is a far cry from the weak hunter he once was. Jin-woo possesses a tremendous amount of physical strength. Even before obtaining his true power, he was strong enough to critically damage the statue of God with just a few punches to his face and beat Thomas Andre, one of the 5 national level hunters, to the brink of death with just his bare hands. After being revived by Ashborn and receiving the full extent of the Shadow Monarch's powers, Jin-woo's strength was increased to the point that he was able to easily repel Salaz's attack with one hand, the same man who is the king of the snow. If you remember the snow elves, he's the king of them guys. He was able to kill Rakan in just 4 blows and hold his own against Antares, the strongest and oldest of the 9 monarchs in battle. In 27 years waging war against the monarchs in the revised timeline, Jin-woo has appeared to have grown even more powerful than before. Shown by how he was able to kill Antares completely by himself instead of having to rely on the rulers for help. Now onto speed. At the beginning of the series, Jin-woo was barely able to keep up with low-rank goblins. But after receiving the system, we see his speed increase to where now in the anime he was able to keep up and even outrun the Ant King, who single-handedly blitzed 5 S-rank hunters. If you can't tell by now, Jin-woo is unfathomably fast and can move at speed so great that most opponents are unable to track his movements. As a testament to this, he was agile enough to keep up with Salaz's attacks during their second confrontation. And after attaining his true power, he was able to strike out Rakan with such speed that the latter didn't even realize that he'd been attacked until after Jin-woo cut off one of his legs. Jin-woo even has a skill called Quicksilver where he can increase his speed by 30% for a short period of time. Now let's talk about Jin-woo's durability. Early on, this was one of his most vulnerable traits. As a normal human, he took damage like anyone else. His ability to survive in high-stakes situations was mostly thanks to his quick thinking and the power of the system. But after receiving the system's enhancements, his durability skyrockets. The system not only boosts his healing speed, but also increases his resistance to damage. This means that even after taking hits from high-level monsters, Jin-woo can quickly recover. What's even more insane is that he's able to survive serious wounds that would easily kill anybody else. Jin-woo is incredibly resilient to physical damage. He was virtually unharmed when the Ant King punched him in the face and only sustained a small cut on his lip. As his journey continues, Jin-woo's body adapts, and by the end of the series, his durability reaches near immortal levels. He was able to withstand attacks from the most powerful beings in existence, including other monarchs and sovereigns, and recover almost instantaneously. He was even physically unscathed after Baran smashed him into the ground with great force. Now let's shift gears and talk about Jin-woo's intelligence. While Sung Jin-woo may not be the most book smart or have the most formal training, he makes up for it with his street smarts and quick adaptability. In the beginning, he's reactive rather than strategic, mainly relying heavily on his instincts and the guidance of the system to make decisions. But as he grows in strength, so does his ability to think ahead and outsmart his opponents. By the time he's fighting monsters at an S-rank level, Jin-woo has become a tactician. He uses the system's data to analyze his opponents, exploit their weaknesses, and come up with strategies on the fly. He's constantly improving his combat efficiency and thinking steps ahead. By the end of solo leveling, Jin-woo has evolved into a master strategist. able to take down enemies far more powerful than himself by using information at his own disposal and his own growing intellect. Now let's dive deep into the real meat of Jin-woo's power, his special abilities, and trust me, these are what makes him truly unstoppable. First and foremost, the system. Without the system, Jin-woo would never have risen to the power he holds. The system is what allows him to level up, gain new abilities, and transform from a weak hunter into a literal god tier being. One of his most unique abilities, and arguably the one that makes him the most terrifying, is his ability to create a shadow army. Every time he defeats a powerful monster or hunter, he can raise their body and turn them into a shadow soldier, an unyielding fighter under his command. By the end of the series, Jin-woo has a massive army of these shadow soldiers, including the powerful Shadow Monarch and other legendary figures from history. And it doesn't stop there. Jin-woo's healing and regeneration abilities are second to none. He can heal from nearly any wound in a blink of an eye, allowing him to continue fighting even when injured. And then there's the ultimate power, his ascension to the Monarch of Shadows. As a monarch, Jin-woo gains godlike abilities including reality manipulation and is essentially untouchable by any force in the universe. He has control over all shadows, the power to warp reality itself, and stand as one of the most powerful beings in the entire universe. Sung Jin-woo's journey is one of massive growth from a weak E-rank hunter to a transcendent being capable of destroying entire realms. His physical strength, durability, speed, intelligence, and overwhelming abilities make him an unstoppable force in the solo leveling universe. And with his shadow army by his side, there's really no limit to what he can achieve. From a simple man fighting for his survival to a godlike monarch, Sung Jin-woo's story will forever be remembered as one of the greatest tales of power and transformation. And if there's one thing we learned from his journey, is this: never underestimate the underdog, because they might just become the most powerful being in the universe. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.